ordained to preach. I like that poem. A poem about a little calf. One day it simply goes wandering off and makes its merry way. And in wandering off, soon someone else followed, and then someone else followed, and then this meandering path simply became a little track and then a road. And then people continued to follow on this way, complaining all the way it was going all the wrong way. So I thought I'd open with a poem. Hope you enjoyed it. Actually, the poem reminds me of something that Jesus said in the Bible. So perhaps we could open our Bibles tonight, because it reminds me of what Jesus says in Mark chapter 7. If you want to have a look, we're going to have a look first of all in Mark chapter 7. Mark chapter 7. As soon as I find it, I'll give you a number. Mark chapter 7, page 711. Mark chapter 7, and looking at verses 5 and on. This is what it says. So the Pharisees and the teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why do your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating food with unclean hands?" These guys just began eating food without washing them, like the tradition of the elders, where they had this great ritual where they made sure everyone could see that they washed their hands. And look at what Jesus said in verse 6. He replied, "Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites." Strong words. "As it is written, these people honour me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are but rules taught by men." Verse 8, it says, you have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to the traditions of men. Ooh, strong words by Jesus. Strong words indeed. And when it comes to worship and worshipping, it seems that someone replaced the commandments of God with the traditions of men. It seems that that little calf has created a broad highway of error that has replaced the commandment of truth. What am I talking about? Well, let's do a bit of a review of what we've looked at and where we've come from, so we're all on the same page. You remember when we talked about order, this time last Tuesday night. We talked about order, and we talked about the 10 commandments that God has given us. And you remember that when God came down and gave us those 10 commandments, it's the only place in the Bible where God wrote with his own fingers something in stone. That should tell us something important about it. By the way, where did he put those 10 commandments? He put them in the sanctuary. He put them in a place called the most holy place. He put them in the Ark of the Covenant. What could be more important to God? He put it in the most holy place there was. So God came down with his own finger. He wrote on stone these 10 commandments, giving us an indication that they simply can't be changed. And you remember last time we said, well, let's have a look at this. It was based in love. And we see principles there that when we follow, they're like guardrails that make sure we don't go over the edge. And if we live within those, we can see that the words of Christ come true. I've come so that you may have life. Stick within this and you won't hurt yourself. Stick within this and you will experience life. You'll have order. So that's what we looked about on Tuesday night. But then on Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, we said, well, hang on. There are 10 commandments, but at the heart of the commandments, commandment number 4, we see this Sabbath commandment. And it seems that the Sabbath commandment is kind of the hinge that links the whole commandment together. Because the 4th commandment basically sums up the first 3, which is love for God, and also sums up the last 6, which is love for fellow man. It's the thematic hinge to all of the 10 commandments. And because it's so important, perhaps we better go back and have a look at what it says again tonight. So if you've got your Bibles, let's go back to Exodus. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Exodus chapter 20. Okay, God has written this with his own finger in stone. And this is what it says in verse 8. it says, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days shall you labour and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor the animals, nor the alien within your gates. By the way, on the weekend on the other side, I said the Sabbath is a liberating day. Just look how many people it liberates. Look at all the people who are liberated on this special day. Let's continue on. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Notice, God made this a special day. He blessed this special day. And part of the reason he blessed it was because he said, God made the world in 6 days. That's what the command said. He made the world in 6 days, and then he had this special day. This special day to spend with his new creation. Genesis 2 verse 1 tells us what happened. God had finished creating all the world, and when he finished creating, he said, wow, that's good. Then it says God rested on the seventh day. He rested from all his work. Why on earth would God need to rest? The Bible is very clear. He never sleeps, he never slumbers. But here it says, on the seventh day, he rested from his work. But I think the answer could be that God simply wanted to spend time with his creation. He wanted to spend time with those that he had just created, with Adam and Eve. Have you ever done something and put a lot of work into something, and then once you finished it, you just want to get out there and you just want to enjoy it? God simply wanted to enjoy his creation. He wanted to spend time with his creation. So he rested from all his work, and God blessed the seventh day, and then he made it holy. He rested. He blessed this special day. He set it apart, some translations say. He sanctified it. He said, this is a holy day. This is a special day. I want you to take this day. I want you to spend time with me this day. Can you imagine? Have you ever tried to shop for a variety of people? It's very hard to know what to give people. What God does here, he says, I'm going to give you this gift, this precious gift of time. Once a week, I want you to stop and spend time with me. Unplug from the world, plug into God, and plug into things that are important, like family and friends and relationships. What an incredible God to give us. We're all so busy, but God says, I'm going to give you time. When we look at this Sabbath command, we can read right through the Bible and all throughout history, we see that the Sabbath is a day to be kept. During the quiz, we asked, did Adam and Eve keep Sabbath? Yes, they did. God was there. He walked with them. Even before the Ten Commandments were given in Exodus 16, we read this incredible story of manna, bread falling from heaven, so that the children of Israel could continue to survive in the desert. Interesting thing, the manna fell 6 days a week. It didn't fall on the seventh. In fact, on the sixth day, on Friday, God says, collect twice as much because you'll need it for Sabbath. You don't work then, you just have it then. Do you know if they collect twice as much any other day, it will rot. But when they collected twice as much on the Friday, it kept over till the Sabbath. So again, it shows us that the Sabbath was continuing on right throughout, even before God gave those 10 Commandments. For my personal devotional time, I've just finished reading the book of Nehemiah. And Nehemiah is a book that's written about this person who wanted to go and rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. And he goes and rebuilds the wall. And then he discovers, to his horror, that some people are coming in and trading on the Sabbath. And it was fascinating as I read this. He got really angry. He said, you're going against God. What are you doing? We see that the Sabbath is kept in Nehemiah's time. In fact, we can go all throughout the Old Testament and we can see that the Sabbath is kept. What about the New Testament? What about them? Well, let's look to Jesus. Did Jesus himself keep the Sabbath? Of course he did. Luke 4 verse 16. Look what this says. So he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and as his custom